Hello everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of my live streams, where I get to like invite cool people on board and then build fun stuff live. So today as well, we're going to be doing something very cool, and it's this really new, fresh project that a very good friend of mine is on this side of my screen maintained. So I'm going to have Corbin. So we have Corbin in the house today. I'm going to have Corbin introduce himself, and then I'll go. Yeah, let Corbin go.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on the stream, Toby. This is like super cool to be able to finally like do a project together. Kevin of Tanstack Table, how you doing, man? My name is Corbin. I maintain a couple of Tanstack projects now. The biggest one being Tanstack Form. Basically, it's a way of doing TypeScript first, headless and agnostic form libraries for client-side validation, server-side validation. I've been a software engineer for 9 years. I'm a principal software engineer, just like hanging out and like teaching people.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that, Corbin, and thanks for joining. By the way, Kevin, hello, see you in the house. So this is my first meeting with Corbin, so let me like do a proper introduction as well. So hello, Corbin. I'm Tobiloba, and then I'm a software engineer, developer advocate, and I'm a CS student as well in my third year. So I do a lot of things around open source stuff because I love doing open source, and then I work part-time as a software engineer because make some fun from there and stuff. And then for fun, I mostly Netflix and stuff like that. And then I do cool live streams like this or Twitter Spaces talking about technical stuff. So I'm excited though because Tanstack Forms is a project that I work with forms a lot where I work, and then I've mostly had to work with forms in the sense that because in my company we don't really do many server-side things. It's mostly SPAs and stuff with Next.js and TypeScript. And the way it's mostly done, we mostly use things like Zod and React Hook Form, a combination of both actually. Then making like our own custom hooks or something to like handle certain things and stuff like that, and undo the validation and all these things. So a lot of googling and reading docs around and figuring out issues as to what's happening here, or using external libraries to integrate stuff and all that. So or writing regex at times. So that's mostly how that's mostly how
I love regex though, right?
No, not really. I remember that. You remember the GitHub gist that day that you shared with me? That was like I was trying to understand how you wrote that regex thing because it went way over my head. But like I write regex, but like the way I write regex is mostly ChatGPT plus crying to people plus checking Stack Overflow. A combination of both. So that's the way I write my regex. But yeah, so I'm excited to have you on board today, and let's dive right to Tanstack Form. So you can share your screen. Maybe if you're using VS Code, you can use live share to connect or something. What are you using?
Here, let me let me do this entire screen.
Hey, Lena.
Screen 2. Okay.
Awesome. Let me bring your screen up. Awesome.
Cool. So I'm gonna do this in a kind of weird way. I'm gonna introduce the super basic usage of Tanstack Form, and then we're gonna go look at how it's written under the hood. So this is Tanstack Form. It is not yet version 1. We are like version, I don't even remember. It's like 0.13 or something.
0.0. Yeah. 0.7.
Yeah. So the basic usage is we have a few different ways of doing things. So for example, let me start here. We have in React, we support multiple different frameworks, and there's 2 more that are coming really soon, which is very exciting. But the gist of it is that we have a hook or a function, depending on which framework you're in, called use form or create form, right? This has your default values that are set, and that's all the TypeScript you need. Like this will set all the typings for your whole form. And then you have an onSubmit function, right?
You then have that's the second argument, right?
Yeah.
The onSubmit. Okay.
Well, the onSubmit isn't a second argument; it's a named argument.
Oh, okay. I see that now. Okay.
Yep. So, and then you have a form provider, just to kind of provide some stuff. This is a normal HTML form. We're not doing anything special here. Nothing magic.
Okay.
And then finally, we use the field component from the use form hook, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the field component allows you to pass a name, a series of validators. So, for example, there's an on change, or there's like an on blur, or there's an on mounted, right?
Okay.
Notice that we have async validation built.
Async. Mm-hmm.
So every 500 milliseconds, it will run this async validation. So you don't have to write your own debouncers or your own this or your own that. It just automatically like does asynchronous code for you. We also support, let me see if I can find it really quick. It's debouncing. We also support Zod, Yup, and Valibot for schema validation.
Custom, yeah, okay.
So we can pass the validators to a specific form field, or we can pass them to an entire form, right?
Okay.
So that's the gist of it. We have a really minimal API. There's not a lot of like there's not a ton to change or configure. Like that's it, you know?
It's not getting in your way or anything like that. That makes sense.
Right. And one of the challenges is that like when you have like React hook form, right? And keep in mind, I work a lot with other form library maintainers. So when I criticize other tools, there are things that we could easily criticize about React or Tanstack Form as well. I have nothing but love and respect for any other of the maintainers for any other project. But one of the complaints that my team had when we were using React hook form is that there's a use controller, a use form, a use watch. Like the API felt very broad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, voluminous, like so many things.
Yeah, like there was a lot of different ways, like especially if you needed to use React Native, you had a controller, and then there's like rules, but then there's also like not rules. There's other ways of doing things. Like there's felt like there was a lot of different ways of doing the same thing. So we have one way of doing things, right? And it's the use form hook, and that's it. One API to remember. That's all.
You know, this actually brings some interesting paradigms in my head here, because if I were to have this be in my project, the way I might typically go about this is making the form itself be a reusable component, and then depending on where I want to use it, I can just pass the parameters as needed, because the form itself is still just going to be one thing. But like, I'm curious too, how does that form provider work? Do you have to wrap every form with the form provider, or can't you do it from like a top level place or something?
You do need the form provider at the top level, but that's actually a good thing, because what it means is, like, let's say that you have a form that needs to be reused in two different places with very minor variations between them. It means that you can extract that to a component, pass form in, and then have your form context like change in very minor ways.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, interesting. So okay, continue.
So we've seen the basic API for Tanstack Form, but let me ask you a question, because this is a question that you in particular are very apt to answer, given that you've worked on Million, right?
Okay.
So React uses let's talk about reactivity for a second. I know you know what it is, but let's talk about like what it means for the audience, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna pull up an article that I wrote about this.
Okay.
And I'll send it in our chat so that
yeah, sure. Yeah.
You can read it. There you go. If you want to send that.
Yeah, to the people,
So reactivity is this idea that you have like let's say that we have this code, right? Where we have a list, and then we have an add button to add to a counter, to remove from a counter, and then when we add and remove from a counter, we want to add to a list, right? So let's run this example. And now I can add a list item, right?
If you could zoom in on that, maybe for the audience. Okay.
Let's see if that works. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So I can add to a list item. I can remove a list item, and I also get the count in 2 different locations, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So this is pretty straightforward JavaScript code. But notice that we have to keep track of count here and here and here. And then we have to update it here, you know, like we have to keep track of it in a lot of different places, right?
Yeah.
So what it ends up looking like is it ends up looking like this really, like, even though the code looks very simple, the diagram and the internal mental model to keep track of the single piece of state is really convoluted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
So what these frameworks do, React, Vue, Angular, Solid, Svelte, you know, what they allow you to do is you have one place where you keep track of count, right? And then the frameworks go and update everything for you. You know what I mean? So for example, if we look at React, we have a use state, right? And count is referenced in the template. But notice that we don't have to manually build our own list. We don't have to manually do this. We're like a lot of this is kind of just handled for us, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the way that that works, I'm going to pull up a secret repository. Hang on. Internals. A very small sneak peek at my 3rd book, which is very unfinished at the moment.
Oh, nice.
But the way that this works is really interesting in React. Let's talk about just React for a second, right? Because app, so like JSX, right? This div under the hood by Babel is, by some transformer, let's call it that way, is converted to a function call, right? So you might have ul children, which is then turned into react.createElement with a list of 2 other create elements, right? And this create element function is what then gets rendered to the DOM. And the way that it knows to rerun app in order to rerun this bit of code lives in this use state, right? So use state in React works a little bit like this, because the function of app is not transformed. It's just a normal function. But the problem is, like, if we had something like this, right? Like, let's pull up a code block here. Right. So let me clear that. Oh. There we go. Okay. So let's say that instead of a template, we just want to rerun console.log count is count, right?
Yeah.
Now what we could do is we could implement use state like this.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And now if I run app, count is 0. Yeah?
Yeah.
But the problem is that if I try to do count plus plus, right?
Yes.
If I try to add one to, or even set count. Then the minute I run app, it's always going to be 0.
Yes, that is
and
true.
The reason for this is, whoops, sorry, wrong link. Come on. The reason for this is that we are doing a mutation, or rather a side effect, or so how should I say this? Our code is pure right now, basically.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We're not mutating outside of app. So what happens is that app reruns, and then the state gets reset to what it was before every single time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what we need is use state to be a side effect. We need it to keep track of state outside of the function itself, so that when the function re-renders, it preserves the state from the last run, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the way that React does this is really interesting. What it does is it has a simple array, right, that stores all of the state in your code for every hook. It then keeps track of a number for each component. Every time it finds a use hook, it will increment this index, this number internally, right?
Yeah.
And from there,
I think that's called like derivation or something. I read Ryan's article yesterday. Yeah, like the use state function is like a derived function or something based on the React model. So we have to use it because for this reactivity thing. Continue.
Right. So, and it's the only way to preserve state. Like use state, use ref, effect, and use reducer are the only three that preserve state.
In React, yes.
Yeah. So, in order to to preserve the store of data, we can then track the state and provide it an initial value if it doesn't exist in the array. Assign it to the array value, and then just have a function that sets that value, right? So now, if I go run this code, oh, hang on, let me do this. There we go. You can see that even though I'm running the exact same function 3 times, it increments the number each time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, chat, this is the fundamentals of React. Like, this is how reactivity works. This is how it's able to run your code on your behalf, is because you are explicitly calling a function in React, right?
Yes.
And that will trigger the function to rerun, and then you preserve the values, right?
Yes.
Now, we understand JSX now, and we understand why we need reactivity. But let me throw a wrench into things just for a second. How does Solid do things, right? Because React works very differently than Solid, right?
Yes.
And one of the big differences in Solid is that you have a count and you have a set count, but your function only ever runs once.
Yes.
So if your function only ever runs once, then how do you rerun this bit of code inside of here, right? Let's go take a look at how it works under the hood.
Okay.
Crutchley. This might take a second. Actually, hang on.
Yeah.
Ugh. I got to talk to the GitHub team about improving the search on GIS.
Yeah, I guess you.
Because like I love GitHub GIS, but man, they are hard to look through. There we go. Okay. So the way that Solid.js works is a little closer to this. So assume that element bound function only runs once, right? But we want this console log to rerun anytime that number is updated, right?
Okay.
So the way that this might work is that we have a signal, right? Which is a base primitive that introduces reactivity into Solid.js, right?
Yeah, fine-grained React. Yeah.
Exactly. Fine-grained reactivity. So the way that this works is that when you create a signal, you have a list of observers, right?
Yes.
And when you write a signal, like when you are writing value to the signal, it'll go call all of the observers that are in the list. And when you are reading a value, it will add that item to the observers. Yeah.
Yes.
So now, even though I'm only running element bound function once, if I go update the initial values, it'll rerun that console.log for us. Right? So we can see that the initial value is executed of 0, right here.
Yes.
Then 100. and then 0 again.
0 again. Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Like we've just learned the internals of 2 different frameworks, which is great.
Yes.
But it introduces a problem for us as Tanstack, right?
Okay.
And the problem is that we want to be able to support React, Vue, Solid. Like these all work under the hood in different ways of reactivity.
I
Right?
get your point. Yes.
So what we did is we wrote our own reactivity system.
Okay. Okay.
And this reactivity system is very similar to Solids. We're going to look at the source code in just a second.
Okay.
But the idea is that we have our own reactivity that lives outside of the framework, right?
Okay.
And then we have an adapter that runs that same reactivity inside of the framework using a bit of glue, basically.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense.
So
okay.
Let's take a look at Tanstack Store.
So that means you have adapters. That makes sense now. Reactive. So you have adapters, but this makes perfect sense.
Right. So when we say that like, you know, if you look at React Hook Form, right? Or you look at Formic, if you go read their source code, they're literally using use state or use ref under the hood, right? We can, in some ways, if we need some special functionality just for React, but we have actual pure JavaScript code running under the hood. So hang on, let me trust this project really quick.
Okay.
Okay. It's a new. It's literally a brand new Windows install, so I just had to reconfigure everything. Okay. So let me also zoom in.
Yes. Yeah.
Hang on. Their Zoom functionality is a little weird.
Okay. This is very good.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is going to look really similar to how Solid does things. Turns out we're fans. Turns out.
Okay.
So let's take a look at the usage of a store really quickly, right?
Okay.
So here we have a new store, right, which is a class, right?
Yes.
Then we have store.state, which preserves the state, yeah. And then we can subscribe to changes in the store.
Yes.
And when we set the state, it will call the subscription, right? With the value, you know?
Yeah.
So pretty straightforward.
Yes.
We have a constructor in the class that calls this.state equals the initial state.
Yeah.
We have some options which aren't widely used, but we have them. Then when you subscribe, we add the function that you pass into the list of listeners.
Okay.
And we provide you back a function that you can use to unsubscribe from the store.
So like for cleanup.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Okay.
We then have set state, which more or less just calls all of the listeners, right? There is one special function here. It's called batch. And all batch does is it checks if it's already batching. And if it is, then go ahead and immediately call the function. Otherwise, wait until it's all done and then go call all the listeners.
Flush.
And what batch does is usually if you call 1, 2, 3, 4 set state, it will call all of your listeners 4 times, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But that might be a performance problem if you're trying to just update your 4 things at once, right?
Yes.
So you wrap it in a store.batch, and now it only calls your listener 1 time.
That makes sense. So now wait, the way the states would now work, is it like promises or something? So that it runs all of them at one go or something.
So the way that batching works is really interesting. So it executes this immediately, right?
Okay.
And then it executes this immediately, this immediately, this immediately. So there's not like it's not running them all. Like let's say that I had this, right?
So like in separate threads, like simultaneously or something.
Yeah, it just runs them synchronously. Like it doesn't wait for them. It doesn't do any type of like weird magic. You know?
Okay.
So like if I do a set timeout here, it'll actually break this batch. And instead of having listened once, it'll actually listen twice.
Twice. Yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because we're doing an
Set timer.
asynchronous operation inside of the batch.
Yeah. Set timer. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, all it's doing is it's making sure that like, hey, we're not running that listener after 4 times. You know what I mean? But it relies on that synchronous behavior to work.
Okay.
So that's it. That I've just shown you 100% of the source code for store, or at least the core JavaScript of store, right?
Okay.
So this enables us to do some pretty interesting things. Like if we look at the React quick start, right?
Okay.
We'll have new store here, yeah, with a number of cats and a number of dogs. We then have a display here with a selector, right, for use store. So only listen to state.dogs, state.cats, right?
Okay.
This will, whenever the store updates, it'll cause this to re-render. We then have a set state so that when you press add 1, it'll update the count, right? And then we have an increment and a display.
So wait, when I have an update that calls the states to want to change, there already is a registered subscriber in the display component because I created the states in it. Is that what you're saying? Or where's the subscriber? Okay.
Yeah. And keep in mind that subscriber has a selector, right? So the React code is actually a little confusing. I might show the solid code instead. Because this uses a really niche hook called use sync external store with selector, which is like no one really knows what that is, right?
Okay.
But you can think of it like a hi, please let me listen for this data, but only this bit of data. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So this is really cool because it means that in React, we have that reactivity localized. So the display of dogs will not re-render if you are only updating cats.
That makes sense.
Pretty cool.
Makes sense, yeah, it is.
So like let's take a look at the view adapter, right?
Okay.
Even if you're unfamiliar with Vue, I can like walk like not you, but like anyone that has any questions, please feel free to ask in our chat. We are looking at it, so we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. So,
yeah, please
so,
feel free to ask questions.
We have a ref, which is like a use state in React almost, right? But the difference is that this uses not quite a signal, but basically a signal, more or less, right? And we are calling the selector function to get the initial state, right? We then get our slice, which is like the bit of data that we need and nothing else.
Yes.
We then, you can ignore this. This is mostly just like so that if anyone passes a new store, we start listening to it right away.
Yeah, like real-time updates and stuff. Yeah.
But then the store, we subscribe to it. So we listen for any changes to the store. We run the selector over the new value of the store. So that again, we are left with just the slice of data that we want.
Yes.
We then check if the previous data was the same as the new data referentially. And if they're the same, don't do anything. Don't re-render.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if they are different, go ahead and re-render.
That slice.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's basically the way that all of our adapters work.
This is pretty straightforward. And then I'm guessing that. Wait, are there any performance trade-offs though? Because these updates at times, what if they are, like for example, when your application starts scaling, you might need to make some updates that maybe 10, 20 things depend on. So how do these updates happen such that it doesn't break performance or something? Obviously there are going to be trade-offs, but like in that regard, I hope you get what I mean.
So I'm a firm believer that you should only store data once.
Okay.
So like, let's say that we have, let's build a quick React demo here.
Okay.
So let's say that we have const app, and we're going to have a store. And let's say, yeah, I have an idea of what to do. So let's say that we have actually, that's going to get really confusing because I was going to use a store demo, like a literal store that you buy something from.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Let's call this Amazon store.
Okay.
Store. And we have a shopping cart, right? And the shopping cart is going to have items in it like a name, an ID.
Yes. String.
And then we're going to have...
Oh, you have to name the interface. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're going to have price, which is also going to be a number, right?
Yes.
And let's say that we also... Like, let's start here for now, right?
Okay.
We're going to say const... I'm forgetting my own API. There we go. Okay. So let's say const cart equals use store Amazon store. We're going to grab state.cart. Right?
Yes.
So let's say that we wanted to render each item. So we're going to have a UL. We're going to render the cart.
Yes. Time the price, yeah.
Let's do .toFix2.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a key. Right? Something like that. But then what happens if we want a total? Right?
Okay.
Key total. We could do cart dot reduce a plus b 0, right?
Sure. Yeah.
This is a great example of really slow code, right? Because this reducer will execute every time that you have something on the screen change.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is where we would trust, say, React to allow us to do a memoization.
Yeah, or a callback. Yeah.
So even though you are correct, this is a bit slower. It is more like technically correct, right?
Yes.
Like we don't have to worry about derived state because each framework has their own implementation of derived state. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like I agree that there are nuances. And if we build out store, we will likely have a way to join stores and do derived states. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But for our use case today, this works beautifully. Like we don't need to complicate this a little bit more. Tanstack Store is very early on. There's a reason why it's like a gray color scheme and like, you know, colorful gray, right? And it's because we have ideas of what we want to do with Tanstack Store, but none of them are like, let's use it for everything yet. It is more an internal usage for people who are looking to build cross-framework activity systems.
I use it like internally within Tanstack as well. For example, the React form and the Tanstack form.
Yep, exactly. So let's take a look at that. So Tanstack Form is a lot more complicated of a code base. I'll show you in a second why, but rest assured that we won't go over every single line of code, right? Hang on, my computer is having a second trying to load this project.
Yeah, I
I look
saw
like a robot right now.
that. And let's just start. I was like, oh,
Okay.
what's going on?
Yeah. So let's take a look at our field API, or maybe our form API. Either way, I think we have a store in here.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of your data in a form is stored inside of the form API, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, like I said, a lot more complicated of a code base, but let's try to stay like really narrowly focused on what we're looking at, right?
Okay. Okay.
So we have a new store. We know what that is, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We then have an initial state for the form that includes the list of your values. Yeah. A list of errors, an error map, and a bunch of metadata that we really don't need to worry about right now, right? Then we make sure that all of our state is up to date, right? So there's our store.batch. But basically what we're saying is that, hey, anytime that your options change, go pass them to form API, right?
Okay.
So then our form API usage might look something like this, where we have a form, we mount it, and we expect our state to be very minimal, right? We could even do like form dot set field value name, and name could be Corbin, right?
Okay.
Oh. There we go. It's because, hang on.
Because
there we go.
Yeah.
It's technically warning me of a correct error.
Yeah.
But what can you do?
Yeah, of course.
So now, form.values.name should be Corbin, right? And before this, it is an empty string. So we can run that test, and we can see that it passes, right? So at the most basic, this is how you use Tanstack Form without a framework, right?
Interesting. This really brings up an interesting question for me, because first off, amazing DX, by the way. But then secondly, I'm curious here, because I debug forms at times. Maybe we haven't gotten there yet, because I'm like following with, but most of the implementations you've shown here, when it comes to usage, it makes sense to me as a developer, like when I'm using it. But I'm kind of curious on the regard of me debugging, because half the work I do every day is like debugging stuff and trying to figure stuff out. All right, good. So while I'm debugging, working with the server or something, my schema, is there a way, because I know some form packages or form libraries rather have these watch things where you can like see things live and log. How do you access states? Essentially, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, how do I access the state of the form? Like, I know it uses the Tanstack store underneath. Okay, so how do I? Okay. So you have to subscribe first to be able to access the state of the form. Okay. And this does not require any use effect whatsoever or anything.
Nope. I mean, so ideally, right? Like right now, we're not in a framework. Yeah.
Okay.
But what we might do is we might have like a use layout effect. And then we'll have const unsub. Ta-da.
Okay. This makes perfect sense. Okay, It does.
So and what's interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say what's interesting is that we could even do like we could get the errors
and see. Okay, this has error. Oh, interesting. Okay.
So and technically there is a even better API, because if we go look, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm happy to, because more specific questions are better.
Yeah, that's why I apologize. I was like, maybe this is like too far.
No, you're okay. So what we can do is we can say form dot use store. Are you going to work for me, code? It's because it's like recognizing this code as view, even though it's definitely not view code. Let's see if we can go look at the view code then. Ha ha ha. So, yeah, so we might have like form dot. Why are you not working? I've got to figure out what's wrong. This is like for sure an IDE problem.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's see if VS Code does any better. Because we have like tests to make sure
what
that.
ID was that? What ID
Oh,
was that?
Bootstorm.
I noticed. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, very optimized for JS and stuff.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
Guys. Okay.
So now we have form.use store. Really? Is my code that broken? At any rate, let's pretend it does work. Because I'm sure there's some reason why it's not working. But you can also use form.use store, right?
Okay.
So imagine that you have something like like, let me get rid of this for a second. And then form.use store only takes a selector, right? So then you could say state dot values.
Okay.
Yeah, pretend it live coding a demo, pretend it works. Classic. Yep.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so this works, right?
Okay.
Like instead of having to do that use layout effect, use whatever, we can literally just do this and it'll automatically work. So if you want to subscribe to all the values, just do that.
Okay. I love that. Because I'm not doing it. Doesn't feel like a lot of work to set up the subscription up. Okay. Yeah. Continue from where I cut you off. So
no, you're okay.
Sorry,
you're okay. So that's our form API, right? Under the hood, our field API looks pretty similar. Again, there's a lot here that we can ignore. Okay. But the gist of it is that in the constructor, we'll pass a form, right? We'll then create a new store that has an initial value of from the form. So it duplicates the value into the field.
Okay.
And then it listens for changes on the form, right here. So form.store.subscribe.
Okay.
And then it'll update the field API based on the values from the form.
Okay. Interesting. Right? Yeah.
So the way that this looks is that we hang on, wrong place. The way that this works is that we have a form, we have a field, and now we can say stuff like field dot set value, right? So it was test, it's now Corbin. That's it.
Okay.
So this is why Tanstack Form is so powerful, is that we don't even need a framework to have it working like it has a framework, right? Like someone, I'm not necessarily asking for this, but someone could write a jQuery adapter for Tanstack Form and it should just work right off the box.
I really love this because I think my understanding was really skewed before, because I was used to having form things be like framework specific, that they work in certain frameworks and all that. I have to do that many setup and all this. But this is really fun, by the way, because I can really still just use this in like a normal, say, plain vanilla JS HTML like setup, and then I have this working and it manages my form efficiently with like custom validation and everything. So yeah, this is definitely fun. So how does the server side aspect work? Because you've shown me a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna surprise you with that one. So let's let me really quickly just show how lightweight our form adapters are.
Okay.
Just really quickly. And then we'll talk about server-side rendering.
Okay.
So we have a use form, right? Which creates a new form API under the hood. Adds a few components, right?
Okay.
And then we listen to when we need to rerun the component.
Yeah.
We make sure that our options are up to date. And then that's it. That's our whole API.
Like a revalidation, sort of.
Yeah. So like it's like 80 lines of code plus 200 lines of code.
Yeah.
And most of this is TypeScript, right? Like if we remove TypeScript entirely, like
or
it's
maybe
like
just JS. Yeah.
yeah, it's like maybe you know 200 lines of code with both of these files. So
I love that.
Yeah, really lightweight wrapper. So let's talk about SSR.
Okay.
It's pretty early. So we only have support for React right now. Now, let me actually rephrase that for a second.
Okay.
We have documented support for Next.js.
Okay.
But the way we've built things should theoretically work for Vue and Nuxt and Analog and all sorts of these other meta frameworks, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But for now, let's take a look at examples, React, Next.js. So let's take a look at this. Hang on.
No, it happens. Definitely understandable. Let's see that.
PNPM. Actually, hang on. Let me go to packages, form core, npm build. And then we'll go build the React package. And then I'm going to move this over so you can't see the secret, which is actually not a secret. It's just I want to surprise you.
No, sure.
I think
Definitely going to be fun. Excited for this. Because I'm kind of like curious, like a form library working server side. That definitely is interesting too. Because I'm curious.
Yeah.
Or are you going? So wait, sure. Are you going to be doing things like okay, wait. Okay, I'm curious about like the server actions thing here now because I want to see how that would work.
Yeah. So this should now work.
Okay.
Please. Yeah. Okay. So we have client-side validation, right?
Yes.
I'm now going to hit submit at 9. Now it has server validation, right? Now I'm going to turn off JavaScript.
Okay.
We're going to reload. I'm going to put in 9 again. I'm going to hit submit, and it's going to still validate even with JavaScript disabled, right? So keep in mind, this is a React application. Yeah. So there's no, I'm not doing any magic. I'm just using Next.js. But here's where things are a little magic. So let's take a look at Next Actions. So in my shared code, I have something called Create Form Factory.
Okay.
And all that does is it provides us a use form, a use field, and maybe a few other things here and there, right? So we have our default values, right? Which provides, I don't know why my TypeScript is not working. I've got to figure out what's going on there. But it'll provide the typing for on-server validate, right?
Yes.
Actually, you know what? I bet I know what it is, but it's not worth debugging right now.
Yes, Lint.
So we then have our client component, right, which uses use client.
Okay.
And use client has the action of validating the form. Yeah. So it uses the React hook called useForm state,
Okay.
which I have also written about. I'm going to link it for your chat.
Yes, please.
Because these are weird hooks. I'm not familiar with them.
I'm definitely reading your blog and like a stream one day. I'll just like read it and just like maybe that's what I'll spend the entire day doing. And I'll stream it live. I'm definitely going to have fun. I know that
Good
for
stuff.
sure.
Good stuff. So we have useForm state, right? Which gives us the state of the form that we need to then merge with our base form, right? So we do that using a useTransform hook and a merge form function. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have our form errors. And that's it. We have our form errors. We have our field errors. We're done.
Yeah.
Because here's what the server action looks like again. The server action has validate form data,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Which comes from Tanstack Form and uses our form factory. So what we could do is we could do a validator adapter. I don't know why that's not recording, but we could do something like this.
A lot of interesting. Result form adapter. Okay.
And now we could do like const schema z dot object name string dot min 12, right?
Okay. Write this on change schema. Okay.
That's it. Sorry, I needed to import Zod now.
Yes. See, yeah, comes out.
There we go. So now we have one schema that listens for changes on the client and on the server that works with or without JavaScript. And you don't have to change any of your JSX. It all runs, like all of your code works the exact same way between your server and the client.
Damn. That definitely, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's like when we figured this out. So Tanner and I were at a hackathon that was hosted by Clerk when we figured this out. In fact, I think Aiden was there even. And when we figured out that we could do this, we were like, whoa! Like,
wow, this is definitely insane. But wait, so that means that okay, I'm curious. Like, do the client state and the server state of the form still need to speak in any way, or can everything just be run server side entirely?
Yeah. So this is where our like if you want to disable the client side validation, done. It's gone.
Yeah, but that's bad UX though, so we need it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But yeah, you can do different, and you shouldn't do this, but you could do different validations on the client versus the server. You have full control.
Okay, I like that. Okay. Yeah.
So you could have like server schema
and then client schema or something.
Yeah, exactly. Then you could have client schema. And on the client, you have to be 900. I don't know why, but you know.
Wow.
There you have it.
I definitely like this. I'm definitely like, and I'm enjoying it too, like Bernard, because this is wow. Okay, I'm going to try this as well. On my own. Or maybe are we trying this in the stream or something? Just like
I mean, it's up to you. What do we want to build?
Okay, we could because of time, because I want to give it like at least an hour so it doesn't overblow. But like if we can try to run a or do you think we can run it in Yeah, we can run a demo project where you like do like a proof of concept project. Yeah, we could do something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So hang on. Let me do this really quickly. Form packages sod.
We just out of curiosity though, this would work in Angular too, right?
Maybe.
because
Shh.
because
You heard nothing, chat. We don't have anyone working on that right now. No. Okay, so hang on. Let me add this and this.
Okay.
Oh man, PN. Oh, I love how fast PNPM is. My best friend right there.
Yeah, we do. I the first encounter, like major encounter I had with PNPM was like on the Million Code Base, because we used like with mono repos and stuff, and I was like mind blown. I was like, this is crazy, and the
Yeah.
speed isn't fast. Yeah, of course. But then of course there's Bond now, so I'm and then okay.
Yep. Okay, so let's go back to the schema just to show you that schema really does work, and I'm not lying to you.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, this needs to be age.number.min.12.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But then again, I wouldn't want to run. I'm still curious. I'm still kind of like curious though, like a server schema. Why would I need that? Is that going to be like somehow talking to my database directly or something? Or I'm curious though.
Yeah, so let's put it this way. Are you familiar with the idea of never trusting the client?
Okay, yeah, it makes sense because I have some backend experience, so it makes sense. But yeah, I've never really thought about that. So yeah, explain.
So let's say that we need to like let's do confirm password and password.
Okay,
actually, that's a really bad example because our linked field story is really bad right now. Yeah, let's say age, right?
Yeah, age. Yeah.
Let's say that we need, for legal reasons, we need our user to be at least 12, right?
Okay. Yeah.
The problem. Oh, why are you doing all of this?
Why? What's happening?
Man, my demos today are like not being nice.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So like, let's say that we need the age of 12 for legal reasons, but all of a sudden the user goes in and they disable JavaScript. They have the age of 6 and they hit submit.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Well, now you just let a 6-year-old into your platform, and now you have a legal problem, right? So by adding server-side validation, you make it so that whether they have JavaScript, whether they've manually gone into your JavaScript and disabled your validation,
it works regardless.
It works regardless.
That makes sense.
But more than that, there's also this idea of progressive enhancement, right? Like, let's say that your user is on the bus or on a train, more likely. And they're trying to go into their city to go to work or whatever, and they load your page, but they weren't able to load your JavaScript bundle. Well, if you're a sales application, like say Amazon, and your user is trying to download, like buy 18 Kleenex or whatever, right? Well, the problem is that if you need JavaScript to do validation, they might not see any errors that pop up when they try to place an order. So this is another example where server-side validation would be immensely helpful.
Very useful. Yeah, very useful. Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect sense. Okay.
So I think I've managed to break things. Oh, that's why. Okay, there we go.
All right. Then the button
12,
activates. Yeah.
right? Save into string. Oh, wait, values number. I know why. Hang on. There is one edge case that I need to keep it, meaning safeguarding data flow between. Yep, exactly. So in my shared code, in my action,
Yeah.
I need to say age is, how does form data parser by Fabian? There we go. Decode form data. Because by default, everything is a string, which is kind of annoying.
Okay.
Numbers. Here we go. There we go.
So that's like a parser that you like used to. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now we have an error. Now we don't have an error. So now, again, if I disable JavaScript and I type in 10, then you can see that we're still validating properly.
Okay, I like this.
Yeah.
Definitely. I like this. Okay. Okay. Okay, and this raises like okay, wait, so server side errors here, they also come as like returns from maybe the use form hook. I primarily will still be interacting with the use form hook here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can still grab the errors that the server either tells me or both the clients, and I can decide okay, maybe which one to use, or if I'm using the same schema for both, I can. Or is there a way to like make it such that
like only show one?
Okay, yeah, exactly. Like I make maybe the server state an extension of the client state or something. I'm just trying to like think about it here, like yeah. From server error, okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean this makes sense, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's on change.
Oh, on server on change, okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, hang on, I disabled JavaScript.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's not a real error. There we go.
Okay. But then it won't work anyway because the button is disabled by default, so we can't really get it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's turn that off for a second.
Yeah. Okay, so from here we can't. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That might be a bug that I. Okay, there we go. I think it was just HMR.
Okay, I like this. Okay, I'm definitely convinced about Tanstack Form now.
Yes.
So okay, I see. And from a okay, so now okay, yeah, okay now, okay, like remix. How does this work in remix?
So I may or may not be seeing the remix team today. Whether they I don't think they know it, but I'm going to a meetup that they are also attending. So I'm hoping to snag a bit of their time to chat with them about this.
Okay,
hoping to.
Okay, that's definitely because I'm curious because this has so many possibilities as to, and it definitely is giving the vibes of the future of like form validation handling because most of the form libraries I've worked with, because I'm not really a big fan of like having libraries clog up my forms, but like with the advent of changes that have happened and things that I have to care about from a user perspective and all that, I've had to like be obviously like caving to like form libraries and then having those undo things for me. But like I'm always like a big fan of like raw and vanilla things that I have more control over and I can tell things, okay, this should work, this shouldn't work. I want this to be doing this, I want this to be doing that. So this Tanstack form definitely gives you that bandwidth to say, okay, you are managing the entire scope of your form, maybe things like passwords, things like togglers for inputs and all that, and it definitely, I like the error handling as well, because
Yeah.
I can get server errors and client side errors. Okay, so
So this is one of the interesting things, right? You know how we're using this. Hang on, let me see if I can find it really quick. Like
okay.
in our shared code, you know how we're doing on change here, right?
Okay.
Oh. We're now doing our validation when we blur a field instead of changing the text, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah, that makes
that's
sense.
it. It's automatically changed over for us.
Wait,
But what
and the
if
adapter makes all of this possible, right? Yeah, continue.
no, in fact, it's not just the adapter. Oops.
If no values,
Let's just say yes.
yeah, values is like, okay. There's an age.
Oh, hang on. There we go.
Age, yeah.
And it needs to be value,
Value.
not values. There we go.
So return, yeah, error, or yeah, undefined something, yeah.
Right? So this works between on change or on blur, even if we don't have the validator adapter. Does Tanstack Form manage both server and client validation? Yeah. This is what we were saying, is that like you're able to get them both working with one bit of code. So
thank you, Bernard, for asking that.
Right, hang on. Validators and blur. Yeah. So here, let me values.age. There we go.
Yeah, to grab the age, yeah.
But and here's the crazy part.
The server one is out. Okay, yeah, continue.
Let's say that we want change for everything, right? But then we only want blur on this one field.
Just the field. You can grab a specific field, and yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, yeah. Okay.
So there's a lot of power with this API, where you can say, I want this field to have this validator, this field to have this validator, the form to have this validator, the server to have this validator, and all of it works, like just with one another.
But for example, where do you grab like feedback from each one of the fields separately? Is there like a single place where you can extract?
Right here. So you can either say this, right, where you get all of your field errors, right? Or you can say, for this specific field, give me the errors just for this field.
Okay. And then I can maybe, if I were using React, save that into a state or something like that, and then I use it. Okay, so I definitely like this. And there are so many. Okay, I feel like there are so many unexplored things with Tanstack Form, because obviously it's fresh out of the bag, and this is definitely super crazy. I would love to be using this in like my projects, and like to try to explore it and stuff. I'm definitely like a big experimenter, so I'm going to try this in Astro in everything that I know.
Yes. Well, and this is the crazy part. So notice, like let's take a look at the source code for Tanstack Form again, just really quickly. Not examples, packages, React, source, use field. Do you see any HTML in here?
No, I do not.
Right. Which means that it runs in React native scripts. It can even run in Ink, the CLI adapter. Like, you don't need the DOM for Tanstack Form to work. It works on the server. It works in React Native. It works in like any environment that your framework runs in, it should run in. And yeah, Bernard, it's perfectly compatible with Next.js. This demo that I'm showing you, like, is a Next.js application. So
okay, so so you definitely heard it here first. I saw it here first, and my mind is blown right now because I didn't actually expect. I expected a lot, but like I didn't expect it to be this awesome. Like having to use a form library. Like, let me split it down. No offense, but like Tanstack Form is definitely awesome because wow, this is yeah. And I'm definitely going to be exploring more of this as well. So yeah, any like thing you like maybe else you want to share or something like Corbin, because the stream is over an hour now and you also have some place to be. So I'm trying to like like keep it small and compact because I'm definitely going to still come back to rewatch this video as well because so many resources and stuff that we check out here.
One of the things that we don't have working yet, and it may not make it to version 1, but I want to highlight that we're working on it, is form groups. So imagine that you have a multi-stepper component.
Multi-stepper form, yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right now, kind of regardless of what form library you use, you would have to do like a dedicated form for each of them, and then you'd have to like,
right? You need to use context or something like that.
Yeah. What if you could just do a form group and then treat it as its own like mini form?
So how do you accumulate all the values?
So this is what it looks like, right? Okay. So you have preserve state true. You have the step that indicates what you need to render. Yeah. And then you have like a mini fake submit called on group submit.
Oh,
see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And then you can do.
User has to click next. So next brings them. Next like fires the on group submit. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So like this is one of the APIs we're looking into, and we have a pretty good idea of what we like want it to look like. Yeah, Kevin's right on the money here. Like we are doing a lot of like framework agnostic stuff. The other thing that we're doing in form is persistence. So let's say that you refresh your page. Oh no, my form is gone, right? Yes. Not anymore. Because we're making it so that you create a persister API, very similar to Tanstack query, right?
Okay. Yes.
And then you pass it to the form API, and that's it. Your form now persists across refreshes, across everything else.
But you're using local storage.
Yeah. So we'll have a version for local storage. We'll have a version for session storage.
Like IndexedDB or something.
Yeah. We're making it so that you can write your own adapters. So you don't have to use like whatever we decide. You can use async storage in React Native. You can use any kind. So
definitely. This is definitely okay. I like this. Okay. More power to the people.
Yeah. So we're really working hard on getting things like stabilized and working on a version 1, but we're also looking beyond version 1 to see how far we can push forms.
Okay. Well, definitely good plan by the way, and amazing team you have there because I've been seeing the work outside and it's an amazing team. It's an amazing team. I joined the Discord because that time I was trying to like figure out things like around setting up the docs locally with my friend because we still like add plans like contribute to the docs, which brings me to the docs conversation that that you talk about now. So yes, and we're trying to we joined the Discord. People were super nice there, and we saw people working on the team and like responding and all that. So I see like Tanstack forms and like things with the form group. I'm excited about like now that you mentioned it, and look, I'm definitely looking forward to like persistence and stuff because persistence is really hard to do when you are working on your own with like some other libraries and stuff and doing multi-steppers and stuff. And this definitely solves that. Okay, Kevin says something. Kevin said 1 year ago I thought forms in React were a solved problem. Thanks for helping me prove that.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
This stuff is so good. So yeah, docs stuff. like Corbin, yeah. So you want to like maybe talk to us about docs and where work is, how far work has gone on that, and how people can contribute and stuff.
Yeah. So right now our docs are rough. It like take our API examples for reference.
Okay.
This doesn't mean anything. Not right now, right? Like there's too much code here. And I realize that like API reference docs can be technical, but some of this is a little too in the weeds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So our API references could use a little bit of love. I think we have some good guides, actually. The community has really stepped up and written some good guides here. This one is a pretty short guide, but that's because it doesn't need to be very long. But the problem is that we need more guides. So I've actually written a library before called House Form, which is kind of how this whole thing started. And House Form has the idea of like linked fields and form arrays and accessing data outside of the form. And we need to be able to do all these, like basically what we need to do is copy and paste. And then we'll be okay, but we still need to do more even after that. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah.
So, and then even like our view adapter, like if I go into select view, I thought we had fixed that. That's interesting. I'll have to investigate. Here, hang on. Can I do? No, I can't. That's why. But yeah, so there's like our view types don't really like there's somewhat work we need to do on the website. There's some work we need to do on our other framework adapters. But yeah, we really just need as much help with our docs as we can. I'm going to spend some time working on it. I know that you had mentioned that you're going to be helping with it, which we're really grateful for. Because
a pleasure.
Good technology means nothing if people aren't going to learn how to use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of the reasons that pushed my own for example, like some of the work I do at Million. Something I'm very like pushing for currently is like having internationalization. I was like, I didn't even sleep. Like I haven't slept for like properly for like the past 2 days now because I was trying to debug with somebody in India. It's 4 hours ahead of me, so we need to find a way that works. So the best way is for me not to sleep. So I just like left late, and then I wait for a while. I sleep for like 30 minutes, wake up again, and then I just like, okay, let's jump into the meeting. And then we're able to fix that this morning because I was trying to like add things like having other languages be able to be in the docs, which sort of like ties to your point about there's no point having a good technology if people are not able to use it anyway. So yeah, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be pushing for Tanstack Form, and you'll be seeing my contribution soon anyway. So because yeah, I love good technology, and I always like I like like writing docs and having people be able to use the technology. I mean that's the best part about having anything. Like once it's like you're telling them that okay, we have something that can guide you to using it as much as you want and building crazy stuff. Yeah, good documentation. And yeah. So I think this might be like this might be my segue to like probably ending the stream and stuff because this has been really awesome and fun, and I learned so much about like how about Tanstack forms. I learned so much about like handling forms server side and really cool stuff around like validations and stuff. So like any final words or things you want to share for like viewers, Corbin, or people watching?
Stay tuned. And if is it okay if I plug something outside of Tanstack Form? Is that all right?
Yeah, definitely. Of course.
Okay. So at the beginning of the stream, we talked about what reactivity was, and we talked about how frameworks are able to function with themselves. If any of that was interesting to you, I would encourage you to take a look at the book series that I'm writing called the Framework Field Guide. It is free and open source, and I hope releasing soon. I really hope. But actually, that's wrong. That's now 90,000 words. So the first book is almost finished. Editing it now. But it teaches you not just React at the same time, but it teaches you React, Angular, and Vue all at once. So you get to see the comparison between how they all work. And again, it is 100% free. It's in early access, so if you request access, you can join our Discord and ask for access, and we'll add you. So
definitely share the link so I can put it down below.
Yeah, I put it in the private chat. Oh, hang on, that's a bad link. Not a bad link, but just not a short link. There you go.
Okay. Oh, okay. Framework guide. Amazing. So yeah, I'm definitely checking that as well once I'm back from where I need to run to. So yeah, thank you very much, Corbin, for coming today, because I didn't actually expect that you'd accept anyways, because but I'm actually glad that you were like super nice, and it was like you were like, sure, let's do it, and here we are today.
Yeah, no, it's always awesome to chat with you, man. Really.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's my it's an honor from my end, like to be in a stream and talking about like stuff, because one of the people like I admire like in the open source space and everything. So this is definitely like a huge moment for me as well. So I'm probably going to be smiling for the rest of the day. But
dude,
yeah,
likewise.
but yeah, this is amazing, and this is a point where I would like use to call for people to like build more cool stuff and solve problems with the existing tools we have and stuff, because definitely we are undergoing the web development space is undergoing a huge ton of things now. Things are changing, and we need to like build tools that adapt to those changes and tools that help us be more efficient as software engineers. Which is why I respect what the entire Tanstack community and the projects does. Shout out to Tana Linsley, shout out to Corbin, shout out to Kevin in the comments, shout out to everybody that works on Tanstack. And you people are doing really amazing stuff. So so if you want to find Corbin online, I think I put his link in the comments. You can check him out as Crutchcon on Twitter. And you can just share. You can share that. Yeah, you can check him out on Twitter at Crutchcon, and on LinkedIn, Corbin, Corbin Crutchley, and you'll find out he's a GitHub star as well. So he's really popular.
Thank you.
So I think that is all for this stream. Thank you all for joining, and I really appreciate you all for turning up. And use Tanstack, use Million, use React.
Use Million, do it.
Use Million. Don't write bad React, and write performance code. I think that's what I have to say. So I'll shut up now. Thank you all for joining, and bye everyone. Bye.
Take care.